We're smack in the middle of the festive season. It's always an auspicious time to, of course, buy a new car or a bike, and which is why there's lots of action always in the automobile space. So call it coincidence or good timing for a very special visit from the person who heads BMW's operations for the Asia Pacific region. We're talking, of course, about Ms. Hildegard Wortmann, who's joining us right now and is on a trip here to India. Thank you. It's good to see you.
Thank you very much for having me here and having this perfect spot here. Thanks.
No, and it's very exciting also because I know that you're here to also coincide with the opening of the new BMW headquarters in India.
Yeah, it's wonderful. It felt really good last night when we were all here, the whole team together. It's a big jump, it's a big step, and glad to see all the happy faces of the people, and we had a really good time last night. So
I mean, of course, our viewers are just seeing one very small part of where we are sitting, but yes, the office is very nice. I've had the chance to go around and look, so congratulations.
Yeah, what especially like is all the working structure. So we really go into this agile working and hot desking and so on. So I think that's really beneficial to be more speedy in the processes, to be fast in the thinking, have more agile working here. So I'm glad to see this happening.
It's also a great parallel in many ways to where BMW's operations in India are. I mean, it's been some time now, of course, that BMW has been here, but the last year has really sort of represented in many ways, you could call it from a sales point of view, a really strong comeback. From the brand strength point of view, a lot of very key decisions having been taken, and of course even Motorrad starting operations in a really sort of serious way with the launch of the 310s. Good parallel is one thing, but it has been a really important year, isn't it, for India?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, yes, we are on the ground here since 11 years, so that's a clear commitment, and I think we've shown over the 11 years that we really have to find the right strategy, the right way of approaching the market, and really making sure that we grasp what customers really desire here, what is really up in specifically for this market. Like you rightly say, I think last year was already a good jump, and I'm really highly satisfied seeing the development here. But 18 is a strong year now, again with major launches. You've seen the 6 GT coming, and again a new segment that we created. And then obviously the future is very bright. If I look forward to the next year, we will see 12 launches. So it will definitely keep the team here spending a lot of long evenings in these new offices.
Now, is that the same for the region in terms of that number, 12 launches, or is that specific to India?
No, that's fairly much across the whole region, yeah, most likely of the markets. But it's, as you know, on the worldwide scale, this is the biggest product offensive that we've ever done at BMW. So we are really going fully blast here into the product segments. And from my former role, I can really full-heartedly say the future is really bright. It's fantastic cars coming, strong design aspects, strong performance, and you can feel the joy of BMW in every instance there.
I'm going to quickly take off the financial journalist hat and wear my motoring hat and get excited about what you just said. Because
excellent.
Of course, new products coming is always
is
always great news. And this is BMW brand, or does this include Mini as well?
That includes well, it's 12 on BMW brand, then there's another 2 on Mini and another 2 on motorcycles. So yes, of course, they also
throw in the worldwide rollout of the Cullinan, and you've really got lots happening, I know.
Definitely.
In India, though, then when you look at this, the one thing, of course, it does is just gives tremendous strength to the portfolio, no doubt, gets your dealers excited, no doubt, too, and excites the market. But from a pure product perspective, of those 12, is there one particular car that you think is going to really sort of shake things up, both from what it does for its segment and also what it does to volume for you?
I mean, clearly, if you look at it, the core of the BMW business around the 3 Series is a very, very important part of our business. And having the new 3 Series coming is obviously a milestone again. And I think I'm not exaggerating if I say the 3 Series is an icon in the automotive history, not just in India, but everywhere in the world. So having that model uprun coming next year is very exciting. Personally, I think the big news will be the X7, where again we created something very special, a very new standalone car. And I think that one will have really big impact, especially here in India.
It's playing on a loop behind you, by the way, so they're getting a glimpse of it as well.
Sometimes coincidence.
It's a good one. And that model becomes, it plays it's going to play such a big flagship role as well for you across the world. But in this region in particular, do you think that it just takes on a little bit of an extra meaning? Yeah,
I think it's 2 points. One you referred to earlier, I think the importance for the brand is really strong. It is what I would call a flagship for the brand. It is a strong statement in terms of luxury, in terms of presence, in terms of the aspirations. But equally, if you go into the interior of the car, you will see all the refinement, you will see all the manufacturing precision in there that again I think stands for the brand and for the business of BMW. And I think as much, and I'm certainly not, I wouldn't claim I'm the insider for the Indian market, but I think I have by now a really good understanding here. I can see that Indian customers are ever so demanding and are really looking to this attention of detailing, and I'm sure they will have a lot of appreciation for this manufacture type of approach that we have in there and all the little details in there. But on the same side, if you look at the digital things, I see Indian market being so advanced in all the digitalization. And of course, customers would demand that same sort of digital connectivity in the car. And again, I think all the cars you're going to see launching now will show top benchmark here in terms of digitalization. And that's really key for us.
Yeah, I can totally understand why. And you're right, the customer here is extremely demanding, and it's good, I think, when we see that response from the OEMs, to that kind of demand. The X range, is going to be at its widest ever as well by next year. And in India too, we now find that there is an intent from BMW's side to offer the entire portfolio. How significant is that? Can we say 2019 is sort of the X year or the year of the X range for India?
I think you can say that. That's a good comment. I like that. As I said, the 3 Series is there as well, so there's a few other cars as well, one, know, so which is also important to us. But I can see your point on X, and when on a worldwide scale, you can say the X family has become about 1/3 of our volume, so it's substantial. And if you look in the infrastructure here in the Indian market, if you look at the customer demands here, I think it's a perfect fit. So yes, the X range is especially important here, and we see successful numbers as well.
And we haven't had the X2 or the X4 in the past, so that's the other reason why. I mean, next year it's suddenly, they're all going to be here now. Going back to that point about the position then in India and how you view the market, one side of that is obviously what's happening in terms of the market itself. I'll come to that, but there is of course that typical cliched point about the competition. We've seen a massive offensive, of course, the last few years from Mercedes-Benz globally. In India too, that's sort of coincidentally happened where they've had a really strong 3 years. Never mind their strategy and product and policy, but from your perspective, how important is it to sort of not regain a position in the market so much as a place in people's minds? Do you think, given that sort of challenge, let's say, from Mercedes, even in India, is it going to be important next year to sort of consolidate your position?
Well, less looking at Mercedes, but I think for us as a brand and as a business, it's important to really convey what the brand stands for, but equally what we stand for in terms of business partners. I mean, we are here together strong with our dealer partners and our other partners we have in the industry. And for me, that's the foundation for a really sustainable success. And you've seen our growth rates. I mean, we're nearly close to 2-digit growth rates here in this year again. It proves to be the right strategy. And I think for me, clearly, India is not about a one-time, quick in, quick out type of thing. It is not about an overnight love affair. It is about really going the whole mile and having the whole commitment to the market in a sustainable environment. And that's really what our India strategy is all about. That's why we're bringing all these products. And we're producing in China already 9 of the products locally, and we're producing another 2 next year to come. So I think that shows the clear commitment, combined with a very strong brand and with a very strong luxury appeal and the high desirability of the brand. I think that is something that is appreciated by the Indian customers, and that makes our success story here for BMW.
How important is it then for you to also carry on consolidating that local production by improving or increasing rather the local content? Is that something?
Yeah, I think it's a very viable position. I mean, it needs to be a win-win for both sides, but I had the pleasure just about a couple of weeks ago to travel together with our member of the board for production, Oliver Zipse, to our plant in Chennai. And I think we've both been really delighted to see how perfectly this operation was run, how really up to the top worldwide levels everybody is working there. The team is highly motivated, and you can see how they will drive the business and how they contribute to it, and that's just amazing to see.
You have done a lot in terms of not just the investments in the plant, but also sort of, like I said, going back to almost reworking the entire operation when the change in the government policy also happened with view to CKD and local production. All of that, I know that there was also, let's say, a pullback in terms of the actual sales numbers too, as a result of waiting for some of these changes to fall into place. You're one of the few manufacturers who actually did that, though. Sort of went the hard route, got everything in place. how well does it set you up now then for future growth? Do you think it could be, I don't want to call it a jump, but do you expect there to be a sort of a sharp growth then for BMW in the next 1 or 2 years?
Like as I said, I think we are already on a good track with a roughly 9% growth that we currently see. So I'm really delighted to see that. And with the product offensive coming, of course, the expectations are there that we can further build on this. But for me, the key message really is this is not about a sprint, this is about a marathon. And I'm very happy to run this marathon, and that takes, as you say, very prudent decisions at the right times. It needs to be a profitable business for all of us, so not just for BMW, but for our dealer partners, for everyone being involved. And we take careful attention to that as well. And I think with that we have taken the right decisions strategically to further grow, and we certainly have a long-term perspective here for the market.
How much of that focus then, I mean, it's obviously going to be sort of very visible when you talk about all these new products coming, and that part, yeah, and it's exciting too.
Can't escape.
Absolutely. But having said that, the other thing that's been happening everywhere, but more so in India, we've seen in the last few months, a lot of focus on offering a lot of aftermarket products or financial products, or even certain offers and schemes. Unlike the US, where let's say leasing is a very big thing, here I think buyback has now suddenly become a big thing. How important is it to be flexible, to approach some of those products, maybe offer a wider variety of those products, so that especially first-time buyers are a little more reassured to step into the brand? Yeah.
No, clearly that's part of the business, and as you rightly say, it's more developed already in some countries than in others. And clearly here in India we still have quite a few opportunities, but we have our financial services operations fully up and running here. All the colleagues are now sitting together with my team here, so they will have an even closer collaboration, and I'm sure they come up with some amazing ideas.
But is that a specific thing? Can we expect just an increase in that portfolio of products from them?
Yeah, I think, again, it needs to be viable for both sides. It needs to be a good business solution, but with that I think we can further proceed, yes.
Let me have a little conversation about Mini, because it's been there, of course, as far as the offer to the consumer in India is concerned, but and to be fair, it is a more niche brand, but we find that
a very nice one.
Sorry?
But a very nice one.
Oh, very nice one, yeah, I completely endorse that. The appeal for Mini, though, seems to be now growing with the arrival of the second generation Countryman. So again, this is not a volumes question per se, but in terms of just the growth of the brand, the spread across this country, since it is such a vast country, does that become a focus area in some ways for you?
I would not say that it has been less of a focus than BMW. I think both brands really, in their own reputation, in their own meaningfulness, have their place here. And Mini has been a strong contributor to the overall image of the luxury segment, and that continues clearly. And as I mentioned, there will be 2 launches as well coming for Mini next year, so clearly that brand will further grow as well.
Am I allowed to ask you which 2?
You are allowed to ask, but I won't answer.
Well, maybe even the camera.
I keep a little bit for later.
Fair enough.
I want to come back.
Same question for Motorrad, because of course it's still early days for Motorrad, and the excitement is quite high because there was a lot of pent up, let's say, expectation. The bikes are here now. I think the response has been great, but next year then, is it again going to be about new products or consolidation? I
think it would be both, but definitely it's for growth, and growth will come also with new products. So we will see also 2 new products there. Don't ask again, no? But it will come, yeah.
I'm happy with that number at least. And the partnership with TVS, again, I know that it's a little premature to start getting into how much that production could be expanded, or what new models could come off the same platform. But that intent exists still, I mean, in the sense, does it stay with just the 2 310s, or do we expect something more to happen with that?
Very honest answer, I would not really like to go into that one, because that's not really part of my direct responsibility, so I would like to leave that to my colleagues.
The expansion of the network is something, again, that we saw a little bit of a growth happening again over the last 12 to 18 month period. At a time, in fact, when some of the other luxury brands have actually faced pressure, and we've seen the closure of certain dealerships from them. 2 things, it sends out, of course, a very positive signal on where the brand is and where the business is. But from the point of view of your new dealer partners, or even the existing dealer partners, what is it about the brand or the brand promise that you think they should be looking forward to in 2019?
I think we all see, I mean, having said that we're going to launch 12 products next year, that also puts a lot of power into the dealers, into the dealerships, to accommodate all of that and really prepare the market for it. And really grasp that opportunity business-wise as well. But I think more exciting for me at the moment is really if we look into specifically a market like India, there's a lot of different opportunities how you can develop the network. So for me, it's not just the number of dealers and outlets, but it's a question of how do we find the best solutions to serve the customers? What is the right format? How can I really deliver the customer experience? How can I bring across what BMW stands for? How can I create that excitement for the brand? And if you go in the center of Delhi where we are here, if I want to go into a mall, there's no point in setting up a traditional dealership type of thing. You would need a completely different format that is far more driven by digital experience, by online sales, etc. And I'm really excited because India is a market, as you know better than I do, where you have a lot of young people here. The largest proportion of the population is under 30, and this drives digitalization. This drives the demand for really clever solutions. And I'm impressed, we have an IT hub here in India as well, which is developing amazing solutions for customers, really with a very customer-centric viewpoint. And I think there's the excitement as well to develop together with our dealer partners formats that we haven't thought of before that can really drive that customer experience rather than just thinking in the traditional how many outlets do I have and how many service only we have, etc. Yeah. I think we just have to move on, and this is the time to move on. And with the product offensive coming now, this is exactly the right point in time to invest mutually and go into this path.
It's interesting because you mentioned something I wanted to ask you about digital sales. I mean, I know that when you talk about online sales, a lot of that has been, the excitement, let's say, for that has been on paper or on the screen and not really on the ground yet. Because yes, in many ways, some of that is premature. But we are also in the part of the world, and by that I don't just mean India, but your entire region pretty much, where customers do tend to adapt to or adopt new ideas very quickly. Not necessarily from a view to ask you when it completely migrates or transits to being online, but even as an early start towards online sales, how far do you think are we today?
Well, we as BMW, we are just about to launch. So it will happen at Deval in early November day. So we will launch our online sales. We also take the whole accessories that you see around us here into the online sales. So again, another one that is India specific, where I'm very proud of the team, what they've developed in a very short time, and the online sales option will be excellent, so I'm really looking forward to that. But I think you're absolutely right, and it's again back to the point, customer needs have changed. Digitalization is driven by this very young population here in India, and for good reasons, they demand us to develop as well in that direction. We need to have these solutions. So and I don't think it's about, is it online or offline on the ground? It is both. It needs to be a seamless transition between the two options. And the customer, I mean, we know our customers are searching on the net and they're looking for the different cars and configurations, etc. And then there comes the moment where they come to the dealership and they need to find that sort of ease and transition there and get the right feeling with our product genius in place and discuss with them, have a nice chat on the products, on the technology, on the innovations that we have in the car. But it all needs to be a seamless experience. And that's the challenge we jointly have to master with our dealer partners. But clearly online sales will play a more and more important role.
I mean, we, with our website, have a massive reach now. And I can tell you in the last 6 months, of the luxury brands, BMW has become the most searched for on our site as well in the last 6 months. I mean, it wasn't before that, so yeah,
yes,
certainly excellent. A lot of action happening.
No, but I think, again, kudos to you as well. I think you're doing an excellent job there in using this format and really proving that media can be very successful as well on the digital side, so it's great to see. I'm glad you think so, but
I have to ask you sort of a follow-up to that. When you talk about opening up sales online, again, the potential seems huge, but with specific context to, I mean, you have a pretty good network in place. I think you're fairly well spread out across India in any case, in terms of, let's say, the obvious markets. But with online sales, if you're also reaching places where there aren't any existing dealers, what's the plan there in terms of being able to still provide support to that kind of a customer who perhaps feels a little bit worried about not having, a workshop or a dealership next door?
Yeah. I think still it's important to provide to any customer, wherever in the country he or she is, the right BMW experience. And that could be in the different means. So precisely on your questions, we have the mobile tour, as you probably know, in 50 cities up and running, where the customer has the chance to experience our products in a mobile format, which I think is a great opportunity if you are further in the urban and countryside areas to play this. And our dealer partners are completely involved into that, so we can easily then link from a perhaps not so much covered area into a dealership that is close by and can take it from there. and that again must be a seamless process, which it is. So I think the mobile tour is a good answer to that part of the country.
Right. Fair enough. So you've already given me a great snapshot in terms of what we can expect in the immediate future. In terms of the position that you hold in the market, the inevitable question about the race for number one, that's not where I'm necessarily going with this. And it's of course fair to note that I think every brand pretty much would love to be number one. But in terms of your position, just for you, where you stand today as a brand and also your dealer partners, how much will it change, you think, in 2019?
I think we will have a massive impact. I mean, again, 12 launches is nothing I've ever been aware of before, certainly not for BMW, but I'm not even aware of anybody else having that sort of...
anybody.
Yeah, so I think that will definitely take us somewhere. And it's not just having new cars, but it's really having quite a few of the flagships up there. Like we talked about the icon of the 3 Series, we talked about the X4 coming, we talked about the X7 as being a new thing. So I think we've proven over and over again that we're creating new X segments and not just replacing existing car lines with the next generation. And I think again, with the creation of new segments, like you've seen with the 6 GT or now with the X4, that's going to lead us into that. But the other thing, in the end of the day, it's a people business. We should never forget that. It's the cars, the technologies, the innovation, and I think there we are definitely benchmark and innovation leader. But it's also about the people, and I've seen really fantastic, ambitious, happy people here running this, both in our organization, but equally on the dealer grounds. And I'm, with that team, really confident that we are up to big things here.
And becoming number one won't hurt.
We'll see.
All right. On that positive note then, I wish you and that team all the very best with all these targets.
Thank you very much.
Look forward to all the new products, of course.
Yes, look forward to host you in there.
Thank you for your time today. I appreciate it.
Thank you for coming.